It's snowing outside, the roads are bad, and I am all toasty filming a video. Can't tell if this is fuzzy or not. Okay. Anyway, so this is my introduction video to my Pan That Palette kind of thing for 2019. I'm doing it a little bit early, but you know, I don't know how fast I'll finish this up, and if I finish it up early, I'll just bring in another palette. So this is the Chloe Morello Pretty Fun and Fearless Ciate palette. I believe this is the second one she did with them, and I haven't taken off the little thing, the mirror, because I don't want it to get dirty, but I've used this a few times. I got this about 2 years ago, but it's very purple, and the shimmers aren't the nicest. They're kind of weird, and I actually got this because of all the brown mattes, and I was missing a lot of mattes in my collection at the time. I thought this would add a lot to it, but actually the mattes that I most often use are the ones from the Per Soiree palette. But I do think I'm going to hit pan on this one rather fast. It already has a significant dip in it because I use it to set my eye primer, but other than that, I think I'll probably go through this one really fast. But the I don't know about the other colors. I'm not too hot in the purples, but let's swatch, I suppose. So I'm going to swatch Skinny Dip first. That is this one on the end. Also going to be swatching it with a brush. This is just like what I normally use to pack shadow on my lid. It's flat and thick. So I'm going to do it in this arm. I have a self-tanner splotch on there, don't mind that. And let's get started. So this is Skinny Dip. Here. And here is a brush swatch of Skinny Dip. It's like, here we go. They're really powdery. Actually, that was my first impression of this palette, is that for a high-end palette, it's almost as powdery as that Wet n Wild one that I reviewed. I have to always tap off my brush. Let's see if you can see this. Like this. See all that powder? See all that powder? I didn't do this very neatly, but all that powder right there is from the just one swipe into that shadow. So here is a Skinny Dip brush swatch. Doesn't really show up very much. Next, Unconditional. Pardon my nails, they're kind of janky. I just painted them, but they chip fast. Especially because in the cold weather, my nails tend to like break in this really weird way. So here is Unconditional. That needs another pass. That's Unconditional. Here's a brush swatch. I think what I'm just going to do is, instead of holding up my hand and swatching, I'm just going to swatch it and then hold it up because it's easier. But this is On Fire. And that's just kind of like a more red matte, but it's still very brown. This brush swatch. And this is Queen Bee. And here is a brush swatch. Then this is Shine Bright. The shimmers in this palette are awful to use with a brush. They're not a cream, but they're like, no, maybe they have like a lot of oil in them because they're almost like pressed glitters. See how I can like mush them around? It's almost like a Super Shock shadow from ColourPop. Here is, what is that? Shine Bright. They go on so nice with a finger, but with a brush, they're really bad. It is Shine Bright on a brush. See, like, with a brush, it just kind of mashes it down. It doesn't really get any on the brush. There is Shine Bright. See that? I kind of have to like work it in to get any color. Work it in to get any color, but it shows up a little bit. This brush is pretty good for those shimmers. It usually makes them have a little bit more payoff than most brushes. Don't use a flat brush with these, like a synthetic flat one. They won't come out of the pan at all. This is Vacay. Fun fact, Dainty looks like it would be the one used to highlight, but actually Vacay is a lot closer to light skin tone. It like blends in as a highlight a lot better. And this one is like weird if you see the shimmer particles. It's a little bit more loose than the other ones. So here is Vacay on a finger swatch. And here is Vacay with a brush. Vacay is like the only shimmer shade that actually kind of comes off on the brush. Here is a Vacay brush swatch. It still doesn't transfer to the skin very well, but it's a lot better than the other colors. Then this is My Tribe. It's just a plain white matte with a little bit of a yellow undertone, but this one's actually very nicely creamy compared to the other ones. I hate using the word creamy because it sounds weird, like these aren't creams. It actually has some pigment, which is kind of weird for a white shadow, but this is My Tribe. I have to keep looking for the names. Here's a brush swatch. There's the normal swatch. I actually can see the regular swatch, but can you? It's right here. I'm gonna switch to this side of my arm now. And this is Be Sassy. I mean, like, to the finger, the texture of these is really nice. It's a little bit chalky, but not bad. Here is Be Sassy. One's really weird for some blending in. But I'll probably use this one to set my eye once I run out of the My Tribe shade. Here is still white in my brush. I actually really like how this mirror folds back. It's a lot easier to hold. Here is the brush swatch. Here. This is Jet Setter. And gets like weird chunks of pigment stuck on my finger. Jet Setter. This one is like really, doesn't really stick. It's like mostly powder. When I got this, brush swatch. When I got this, I was actually like really surprised how much. Look at that. That is all of the powder just from running my brush like this on both sides twice. That's so much powder. That's so much shadow. At this, like with the palette being this powdery, I'll probably go through this like really fast. But oh well, I'll probably be happy to be done with it. Here is Jet Setter in a brush swatch. Doesn't really show up here. This is Happy. It's another one of those weird shimmer glitter things that are oddly mushy. It really does kind of feel like a Super Shock shadow from ColourPop. Like, it's not a pressed glitter, it's very obviously like a metallic, but like, it's so mushy. Here is Happy. Finger swatch. Just mark that in. And this one's really nice. It almost seems like it should be a duochrome the way it like flashes, but it's not. Like, I feel like it should have some blue in it. And here is Happy as a brush swatch. This one is really hard to get onto the brush. Let's see if this will focus. Like, if you see that, there's like almost none on the brush. I'm actually just kind of close. I didn't estimate this right, but here is the brush swatch, and that is the normal swatch. And I think for the final row, I'll just do it on this arm. It's easier. So this is Dainty, which looks brighter than Vacay, but Vacay actually is better because this one kind of comes off, like, the colors of these switch when you put them on your skin. It's weird. So this is Dainty. Here's a Dainty brush swatch. Vacay is like getting all over the place. Dainty doesn't come off on the brush at all unless like I scrub the shadow. See, it just, the brush just really mushed this down. So I'm trying my best. So here is a Dainty as a brush swatch. There is nearly nothing on there. And I don't really understand the placement of the shimmers in this palette. Like, all of these are shimmers, and then why wouldn't they just put these up and down here? Like, I don't understand. Like, transfer like some them around, because it's kind of confusing having two shimmers in a row over here. There's like no order to it. Right. So the shiny purple is called Fierce. I just can't get over the texture of these. It's really, really freaking weird. And here is Fierce. It kind of like, I don't understand. It goes from like, it looks a lot different than it's in the pen. It goes from like purple, like purple to like grape with kind of like a orangey undertone. Or like, it almost seems like one of those Wet n Wild duochromes, but just like with pink and orange, but it's not. It's strange. And here is a Fierce brush swatch. This one is not coming off on the brush at all. Just like Dainty. Oh. This is the best I got. Fierce. So I'm just pressing down like really hard on my arm. These, of course, apply a lot better if you apply them on top of an unset eyeshadow primer, if you're putting them on the lid. So that is the most you're going to get out of Fierce with a brush. And then this is Flirt, which is also very powdery. What is with Ciate and their shadows being so awful? This is... what is this? Flirt. This is Flirt. That doesn't really swatch the best with a finger. And then just run this brush through that a few times. I know I keep showing you how powdery this thing is, but geez, Ciate, I paid like nearly $50 for this, I think. Not focus. Like, get yourself some shadows that don't consist of just fucking powder. Could have bought mini Natasha Denona palette. There is Flirt. The brush. This is Daydream. Oh, this is the wrong hand. Frick. There is Daydream with the right finger this time. I swatched a little bit too close to the other one, so I'm just going to do the brush swatch below it. This is another one that's full of powder. All of them are full of powder. I don't know why I keep complaining. So the brush swatch is below this one this time. So this is Daydream. And then the last one is Own It, which is a little bit less putty-like than the other shimmers. So this is Own It with a finger. See, along with it being less putty-like, it's also streaky. And here is Own It with a brush. This one comes off very nicely onto a brush. You see that? Anyway, it's like there's a lot of that shadow on here. So this may be the only shimmer that comes on a brush well. And I was wrong. No, actually I was right. This is the only shimmer that came off really good on my arm. Wow, I'm covered in eyeshadow. So this is going to be the palette I'm going to try to pan in the rest of 2018 and the duration of 2019. I think it'll be rather easy due to this thing literally consisting of only powder. Definitely not recommend it. I think that it's really awful for a high-end palette. You could just buy a few drugstore palettes and get nearly the same shades if you wanted these shades. I mean, the shimmers are nice, but they only apply well with a finger, so just the powderiness is really, really awful, and I just need it out of my collection, but I don't want to give it away or like throw it away, so I'm going to pan this. It's not awful, it just, I feel like it was definitely overpriced for how, like, not good it is. So I will be back with updates on how far I've gotten with panning this guy, and hopefully it'll go fast, but anyway, AFK for now.